Hello everyone, this is Aaron again. Coming back to you as I promised to talk a little bit more about this ATN. This is something I'm going to be talking about a lot over the next few months as I test it more and more. But a lot of people, I said I was going to come back and talk about it, and I've been getting some requests of when I was going to do it. So I decided to go ahead and try to do one now and talking about this. But let me just say from the outset, one of the things that I love to do is to say best in the world. And I love getting beat up after I say that. But I'm going to say this. And if you can prove me wrong for the money, I'll take all the criticism you can throw at me. I'm going to say this. This is the best scope in the world. For PCPs or any other gun you might, powder burners, whatever you want to do. When you think about what you get in this scope, I got this one for $400. I saw them all over the place for $5.99, and I kept looking and looking and looking, and I finally found one for $4.99, free shipping. And I know there was only a few of them up there. They probably all gone now. I think it was about 5 or 6 on eBay for that period, but I got it. But let me just say this, for $500 or $6, whichever one you fall in the category, you're not going to beat this scope for what it can do. I'm talking a little bit about what it can do, then I'm going to demonstrate what it can do. And then later on this summer, we're going to push it out to some distances to see how far it can actually do what it does. But let me just talk about why I love this scope so much and why I think it's the best scope in the world. There are scopes out there that are clear as grass and all of that, got nice mil dots in them. Some of them have the turrets where you could turn it to 100 yards and turn it back to 60 yards and all of that. And it'll do the job for you. This thing here is amazing because of a couple of things I just got to talk about. It's crazy. Okay. One of the first things I'm going to test on the gun is this. This is a 3 to 14 power scope, but you can actually turn it up to where it will pix out on you, but you can turn it all the way up to 36 power. Okay, now I don't know above the 36 power how well this works, and I got to push that out there later, but you can take this gun and you can be looking at let's say a bird at 50 yards, and you'll say, wow, at 3 power he's way too small. I'm going to zoom him all the way up to 14 power. You can zoom it all the way to 14 power and still put the X directly on him, because the gun is going to compensate for you as you zoom in and keep that X rising or lowering wherever it needs to be to make that hit on that particular target. To me, that is amazing. You tell this gun how far you're shooting, you zoom in or out, and the reticle and the X zero stays the same. That's one of the most things that's just, and I'll prove that in a minute. At least out to 60 yards. And later on, we're going to try it at 100 this summer when we get back to the range. Second thing that's great about this scope, one shot zero. Okay, talked about that a little bit in my last video. You shoot one shot. If you're on paper, you're on, because what it's going to allow you to do is, I'm just so excited about this thing. What it'll allow you to do is, when you go into zero reticle, you're going to get two X's superimposed over one another. And all you have to do is just sit there and move this other one until it is perfectly over where that pellet hit, and that one is perfectly over to where you were shooting. Hit save, and you're zeroed. Now you're going to tell the gun what you zeroed at, because the gun needs to know that. Because once you tell this gun where you zeroed at, this one's zeroed at 30. Once you tell it it's zeroed at 30, and you put in all the calculations for the coefficients, ballistic coefficients, the speed, the pellet weight, and all those things, this gun is going to, and most important, what is the distance between the barrel and the scope? And I'm talking about perfectly. Where does the barrel split perfectly? And where does the scope click perfectly? You get those things right, and this gun here will do the rest for you. Okay, if you got it at 30 yards, you look out there and you got a 60-yard target. I did it with golf balls. A golf ball is 1 inch across. I did it with golf balls. And I hit golf balls, as you'll see, at 30, 40, 50, and 60 yards. And I want to push out to 100. just by telling the gun, hey, I'm about to shoot at this golf ball and it's 60 yards away. Pull the trigger. That's if there's no wind. This is amazing here. Okay, you can go into climate in this gun. And in climate, it's going to ask you, it's going to already tell you what the humidity is. It already has measured the humidity. Humidity is going to be right there for you, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it seems to be there. You may have to put it in. Then it's going to say, what is the wind doing? And you're going to say it's blowing at 5 miles an hour out of the southwest. The gun's going to say, okay. Lock that in, lock in your distance, hold the gun. The gun has built into it a compass. This gun always knows where it's pointing. So when you tell it it's coming from the southwest, the gun is going to be able to realize where it's coming in at and make the compensation for the pellet push off that wind. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but it will do it. I don't know where you can find this stuff at for $500 on top of day-night vision. Daytime you're shooting at rats or whatever you're shooting at, it turns dark, hit a button, put an IR light on it, and keep on shooting. For me, all of this is just exciting, amazing. I've been testing it because I did not want to do this video before I could test some of these things. And so far, all of them are true. Another thing, you look on top of these scopes now, you see bubbles, right? So they want to make sure the gun isn't canted, because if it's canted, you're going to miss your shot, especially at longer distances. Built into it, you look at on the left-hand side, there's a 0. If you go up or down 5 or 6 degrees or 8 degrees, it's going to tell you. So you just look at that there, put it on 0, gun is not canted. Another thing I think it does, haven't had a chance to check it yet, but I'm sure it does. In here is another thing that tells you the degree that you're aiming the gun. 15 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, 50 degrees, 60 degrees, whatever. I really do believe, I haven't read this yet, I haven't tested it yet, do that this summer, but I really do believe that if you're shooting at a 45-degree angle, and you tell this gun that you're shooting this particular pellet, this particular speed, and the wind is doing this, and I'm shooting at 45 degrees, it's going to make those adjustments for you too. So all the upsides of this thing, we're going to go out there and I'm going to show you some of the things in a moment. All the upsides of this thing. Let me talk about the downsides, because there are some downsides. Okay. One of the downsides to it, to me, is that because when you're looking here, you're looking at a screen. And from looking through it, I don't think that screen is much bigger than a postage stamp. Maybe a little bit bigger than, maybe an inch. And as you know, if you're looking at 1 inch, getting detail is not going to be as strong as see. So as far as you looking through here and seeing it as clear reticle, you see reticle clear, see your targets as reticle, as real as they look in the daytime, it won't look like that. It's going to look rather cartoonish in a way, because you're looking at TV after all, and not really at the live thing. There's a camera up here that's basically videoing back to a screen what you're looking at. So that's a downside. Another one is, as you zoom in, it tends to pixelate. This is a 3 to 14. If I was going to get it again, I would get a 5 to, I get the 5 to 20. Because that 5 to 20 is going to probably allow me to get up to about 10 before it starts to pixelate. And the video quality starts to drop a bit. But if I'm ratting, I'm going to love that 3 power, because if the rat is 10 feet away, 10 yards away, 15 yards away, I really need to be shooting 3, not 8, because I'm going to be able to scan everything a little bit better. So for long shots, the 3 to 14, but for short shots, 3 to 14 is 1.5. But I probably would go get the 5 to 20, but I don't know if I want to pay $200 more for that. So after all, it's just video. It's not going to be any clearer than anything else. It's gonna take a little bit better video because of the power difference. So those are the things that I like about the gun. That's the thing that I don't like about the gun. Let's see. Can I think of anything else? It takes you a while. If you go into here, all the settings can be done right here with this wheel and with some buttons on top. But I'm gonna tell you, it gets really, really hard to do. Nice thing about this thing is, through Wi-Fi, you can hook up to your phone. I'll do that in a minute. You hook it up to your phone, you can make all your adjustments off of your phone for this thing. So that you don't have to be in there trying to push the buttons on top and forgetting which one. And boy, it was so frustrating until I learned not to do it like that. But boy, when I first got it, I would push the wrong button, get kicked back out of the menu, go back into the menu and all those sort of things. But once it's dialed in. Another thing I love about this gun, I'm trying to think real hard about another thing that I don't like about it. Another thing I love about this is this. I got this thing set up, as you can see, on my impact. My impact has two barrels, 177, which is on, and a 25 over there. I've gone in and answered all the questions that this scope has asked me about both barrels. Okay, pellet speed, 925, and 177, 860, I believe, in 25 caliber. The weight of each pellet, the ballistic coefficient of each pellet, and you can look that information up. I answered all the questions for it and put this data in. And so once you put it in, you save it. And I'll show you that in a minute. You save it on the 177. Then you put the other barrel on. You put everything in and you shoot it and you get everything set up and get it all zero. Everything, you save the information. Now right now, I can take this scope off if I wanted to and put it onto another gun or another gun or another gun and have the information there, and it's going to be zero for all of those guns. As long as I would see right here, I got these twisties, and these twisties, sometimes you can tighten them a little bit more, a little bit less, and that could throw it off a little bit. I haven't tested that yet. I will this summer. But if you get the kind that lock on to the same tightness on each gun each time on the Picatinny, you're going to be able to move this thing from gun to gun. You can have one scope and 6 guns and just decide which one you're going to shoot it on. Again, I haven't checked all that out in terms of other guns, but in terms of on here, it's right on in terms of when I switch the barrels out. So, besides just the fact that the clarity of looking through it is not that good, I will say this, I do not like the limited amount. I really wish they would allow you to download some additional reticles. I think it comes with about 8, and I'm not in love with any of them. I got 2 I like, and those are the 2 I switch between. One is for longer range of shooting, gives me a better X, smaller targets, and one is kind of like a little dot that you can use for close-up targets. If you're ratting or something, all you need is a red dot. Put it on and pull the trigger. So the 2 things I don't like about it is the screen clarity as you look through it, and the other one is I think it come up with a few more reticles for it, and a few more colors too. I may throw that in. So I guess there's 3. They give you some reticle colors that are not very helpful to me. In terms of it. But the nice thing about it is no matter what situation you're in, you can actually hit reticle color and look at the thing and just make the change to see what blends into that area you happen to be in. You can do that relatively quickly. So that's the scope. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to shoot this thing. We're going to see if that X zoom works right. And then we're going to come back and we'll look at the video through the Wi-Fi that this thing puts on your telephone. And then we're going to close this thing out, okay? So let's go do that. All right, we're going to test this theory. This gun is set in at 30 yards. The target here is 40 yards away. I'm going to, I've dialed it up to 40, and we're going to take a shot and see if it stayed online. Okay, that's 40. Okay, we're going to go out to 50, which is that golf ball there. And we're only shooting 8 power, so I really don't have anything dialed up. But on this one here, it's against the tree, so it may only move if I hit it. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I have to turn it off to dial this up, though. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it up to 50 yards. Okay. I've dialed it up to 50 yards. If you take a look in the lower left-hand corner, right-hand corner that is, I'm going to hold off a little bit because there's a little wind. Okay, so we see that by dialing up to 50, it's 0 straight. Now we're going to 60 yards. Sorry I can't take it any further than this, but this is going to be a 60-yard shot. And first let me keep that at 8, and let me clear it up. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to switch it to 60 yards and see if we can hit that ball. Got to turn it off to do that. Okay, I've done two things now. I've dialed it up to 60 yards, and you should be able to see in the lower right hand corner. And the magnification is going to be 10 because it's so far away. I took it from 8 magnification to 10. We got a little wind. The wind has died, so I'm not sure. I'm going to try to hold it straight on since the wind has died. And as you can see, we nicked it. So in the future, I want to be able to get something really, really high up. Because in this thing, it tells you right now I'm shooting at, can't quite see it because it's so bright out here. I'm shooting at 18 degrees. That's 30 degrees. So this gun tells you what degrees you're setting at. Also, it tells you the cant. So right now, when you want to zero it, okay, right there is on 0. That's a 8 degree cant. That's a 10 degree cant. Oh, wow. That's a 20 degree cant. So the gun does all of this for you. What the scope may not have in terms of clarity, it more than makes up for in ballistics and what it can do at those ranges for you. So the nice thing about it, if you see a vermin out there, and let's just say he's 100 yards away, and you got all your information there right, and you can get the wind right, you should be able to hit that guy like that. All right, thanks. Okay, in that video, you probably noticed down in the right hand corner that on all the video you're going to get ATN, and then you're going to get the yardage that you're shooting and a date and time stamp. I have not gone into this thing to change the data time stamp on it at all, and that's why you see that 1:14 and 12 a.m. or whatever on there. So, but I'll be fixing that as we go along in the future. But I just want to demonstrate here that with this gun, once you put in all the information, you tell this gun the distance you're shooting, this gun will adjust to that distance as you saw in that video. Now I want to test this. You should be able to, on this gun, take a shot at 3 power on a target, and then dial it all the way up to 14 power and take that same shot and hit the target without any change in the MO. Okay. So that's what we're going to do now. Let's go back and let's shoot at 3 power, zoom it all the way into 14 power and shoot it. And I think in the future I'll be zooming it all the way up to 36 power and trying to shoot it also. But for the sake of what we're doing now, let's just go and do that. The zoom test to make sure that the MO does not change. Here we go. Okay, we're about to test the zoom function on this. According to the information that came with the gun, I should be able to hit a target at any distance throughout the whole range of the gun, because the gun is going to compensate for the reticle change. Let's try it. I'm going to try to hit this golf ball. This golf ball is exactly 40 yards away. The scope is set up for 30 yards, but I've told it I'm not shooting 30, I'm shooting 40. And it should have made the adjustments for 40. Let's try it. Okay. As you can see, 40 yards at 3 power was not a problem. So now what I need to do is zoom this thing all the way into 14 power and see if the 0 stays the same. So here we go. That's 5 power, so you know where we are. That's 7 power. That's 9 power. That's 14 power. So now let's take a shot at 14 and see if the 0 doesn't change. And there we go.
So as you can see, the 0 stayed the same from 3 all the way out to the full 14 power magnification.
Okay, as you can see, another beautiful thing about this gun, you can shoot at 3 power, you can zoom it all the way out to the 14 power. 0 doesn't change. I think that you probably will be able to zoom it out. You can put this thing on extended zoom, and it'll go out to, all the way out to 36 power. And I was shout out to that because I stayed within the regulation of what the scope was. I want to see if the 0 would change even throughout that. If it don't, can you imagine if you got a long shot, let's say 150 yards away, and you could crank this thing all the way up to 36 power and have this gun make the adjustment for that 150 yard shot based on all of the information you've stored in here, and being able to talk to it about the wind and the direction of the wind and the humidity and all the temperature and all the things it takes into account. Can you imagine why I am saying that this thing is probably, I'm not going to say probably, this is the greatest scope on earth. Let's just say that. Okay, in this next video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at something I saw another YouTuber put up. And what it is this, I call it a filter. But basically, if you put, I don't know if I'm a photographer, so I know about apertures, you know. The wider our aperture is, the wider open the lens is, the more blurry things tend to be at distance. And the smaller it is, the more it seems it's clear from 10 to infinity, as they call it. There's the same thing you can do with this gun. There's a filter, I'll come back and show it to you. There's a filter you can put over this gun that makes the hole much smaller. And so by doing, it makes it a lot clearer from short distances of 10 yards all the way out to infinity. I want to show you how that works now, and then we'll come back. And I want to show you one last thing about this gun. Our scope, rather. Let's take a look at this.
I'm gonna clear it up on here. Okay, that's clear on there. Now that when I get it perfectly clear to me, anyway, to my eye, right there, I'm gonna come back. So there's 40. There's 30. And there's 10. You can see a big difference, especially at 10 and 20 and 30. But 40 is perfectly clear. Now I'm going to put the filter back on, and we're going to see the difference. Okay, now the filter's on. As you notice, because it's getting less light, so the color just went. So, you know, you may lose some color, but what you'll pick up on is this. I can now focus it in on the bag. I can go from the bag to the target to the 40 yard and be in focus throughout the range. If I take it off, let's say better color, a little bit of better depth because you get more light. But now the depth is gone, because now as you come back, you're going to find that things are blurry, especially up close. So if you're shooting close shots with this thing, and you want to shoot in and out, the best thing you can do is to put on the filter. Because once the filter's on, like I said, you're going to lose some light. That's okay.
Well, as you can see in that video, having a filter makes a big difference, because I'm going to tell you this. I will say this, I said there were 3 things I didn't like about this gun. There's a 4th thing I'm not crazy about. I'm so used to side wheel focus and being able to do it so fast. I hate the focuses that are on the front of the scope. On this scope here, you have to turn this thing whenever you want to focus it. And I'm gonna tell you, they got this tolerance on this thing is tight. I mean, this thing does not turn easy. I know over time maybe it will, but it takes a little bit of power to turn it. And so if I'm shooting, if I'm pesting and I'm shooting from, let's say, 15 yards out to 50 yards, when I get that 15-yard shot, I do not want to be messing around with this thing up here, trying to get in and focus. That's where the filter comes in handy. As you saw, at 10 yards, you can see that paper bag perfectly. And at 40 yards, you can see it perfectly throughout that whole range without doing any adjustments on this gun. That's where that's going to come in handy. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. I call it a filter, but it's not really that. Basically, all you're looking at here is the bottom of an ATN 177 pellet holder 10. Okay? And it just fits perfectly over the front of this. There used to be a flip up. This would go on the scope like that, and it would flip up and down. The clothes, they had a little rubber piece on it. I took that off, popped this on here, and I'm gonna paint this black once I finish experimenting with the hole, but I'll talk about that in a second. But this fits on here like that. And once I put that on there, I don't have to focus anymore. If something is 10 yards away, I can pop it. 50 yards away, I can pop it. And I can take my shots really, really quickly without focusing, because this thing will be totally out of focus, as you saw, at 10 to 15 yards, but clear beyond that. So I don't have to then do that. Focus on 10 and then change the focus back to 40 again. I just shoot throughout the range. The video is going to be, it's going to be a little darker. I got to make sure the lighting there. But there's an adjustment in here where you can adjust the light sensitivity. You can tell this thing, hey, up the light sensitivity. So if I'm in a barn and it's dark, I just up the light sensitivity to make up for the light that's not going through here. The thing I said I was going to talk about, the thing I'm still experimenting with, is the hole size. Okay? As you can see, this hole is really quite small. I'm going to keep drilling. I got a bunch of these 10s, luckily. So I'm going to keep drilling this hole out and drilling this hole out until I get to the optimum point where I can get that 10-yard focus and yet that clarity at 40 with full color. And when I reach that particular point, that's when I know I have this thing perfect, and it's going to really come in handy, because I really hate having to focus this thing. So, the last thing we're going to talk about, we're going to move into one last part of this video. This thing has a Wi-Fi function on it. Okay? That means that I can have my telephone hooked into here. I can do live streaming. I could actually be hunting, be live streaming on my phone back to people. Call my friend up and say, hey man, take a look at this shot. And video it and copy the video and send it in real time or live feed it. Another wonderful thing about this gun. But this is the function I like most about what I'm about to show you. Is that once you hook the Wi-Fi up in this gun to the Wi-Fi up in your phone, the two of them are speaking to each other, you can do all your adjustments, as I talked about earlier, through the phone without having to touch this at all. And I'm going to show you that video right now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to close this thing. So let's take a look at the phone hookup for this. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time, because I'm trying to shoot from that camera to my phone and show you what we're doing here. So please be patient with me in that regard. It was the best way I found to do it. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, what you're looking at is my cell phone. And the cell phone is right now actually set up to communicate with, through Wi-Fi, the actual gun itself, the ATN scope itself. So all I need to do is hit, as you can say, connect your device. I hit connect my device, and if I can get this thing to work. And then it said what do you want to connect to. Of course you want to connect here, so we'll make this connection. This thing does not want to work right. There we go. And so once you get in here, you're going to be able to do all your settings right from this particular phone here. So the first thing we're going to, the first thing we're going to look at is your system. And if you take a look at that, you're going to be able to see that there is controls your night vision. That's day-night vision. One switch takes you from day to night vision. You got your the light sensitivity and so on. Video quality and all those things can be set right to the phone, so you can just hook up and just go into this and take care of everything. Same thing here again. The rest of your settings and from screen brightness to whatever. So I do a example of one on the last one. Then we go to the last section of it. Right here, and we can control our zoom, put in a device type, your Wi-Fi, your date and time, your units. Everything is there. So let's touch on that and make whatever change I want in the particular gun itself. I really like that. Because sometimes sitting there and trying to push those buttons on top of it and doing all these little commands, it really does get kind of touchy. When you can't see anything, you're looking in through the reticle, trying to figure all this stuff out. So this is really a nice touch for it. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, the next thing is going to be, I really like about this too. You can see here, this thing already knows what the humidity is. Now, if let's just say I'm putting in a ballistic thing. I'm telling it I'm going to be shooting 100 yards, and it already has in a compass built into it that gives us, that knows it's going north, south, east, or west. The gun knows where it's pointing. So if you put in, say I got a wind speed of 10 miles an hour, and that wind speed is direction is southwest. This gun is going to be able to figure out in relationship to where it's aiming exactly what the wind is doing, what the angle is as compared to the gun where it's being pointed, and makes that ballistic determination for you. This thing is amazing in that regard. I can't wait to test that this summer. Okay, so that is the next one you can do, is actually tell it what the conditions are, and this thing here will do the rest. Okay, the next thing we want to pull over is profile and zoom. Profile and reticle. Over here, what this is really nice is this. You can set up, I don't know how many guns in this thing, maybe 5 or 6. I have 2 set up right now. Right now I got it in 177 mode. And in 177 mode, all my ballistic coefficients, everything about the scope, everything about the pellet, the weight, the coefficient of it, everything is set there. And then my second one is the 22, as you can see. And with the 22, it's the same thing. All information about the JSB 18.35 pellet is in there. The ballistic coefficients is in there. The pellet weight is in there. Everything is in there. So this thing here will actually be able to, as we'll talk about later, be able to determine the arc of that pellet. And when you put in the wind speed and the stuff we just talked about in the, before this, it's going to be able to determine what the wind is doing and even figure that into what it's going to do with that size pellet with that ballistic coefficient. Just amazing stuff to me. It's just unbelievable what this scope does. Okay, we'll come over to the next one. And here you can pick your reticles. Okay, right now the gun is aimed at me, so you would actually get to see what that reticle looked like in real time. I put my arm in front of it so it'll be black so you can see it. Okay, I can pick now. That's my red shirt I got on, but I can pick now between the different colors and different styles of reticle just by touching on them. I don't want to do it because I don't want to come back and reset it. But that's the black so you can see it better. Okay, now go back again and touch upon this. Now this one here allows you to live feed through your phone to anyone who wants to watch you. It'll be an actual live feed through your phone and up. So the perfect. I'm gonna hop up here and pick the gun up for a second so you can see that this is actually a live feed from the gun. Okay, I'm gonna aim it at the TV set. Okay, and probably help if I try to focus it a little too. Okay, but this is the TV set, and I can't see how good I'm focusing it because I can't see from over there. But as you take a aim at something, you'll be able to live stream that to your phone and record it on your phone or live stream it to someone. Okay, coming down out of that. Set the gun down, and so that's your function for actually live streaming. Go back and we come to the last one here, which is gallery. In gallery, you can actually go in, so you can watch your videos on here also. And so those are the features. You got the gallery, You got your live view. Uh, you have your reticle styles and color. You have your zero, where you can set up which gun you have and that. So that's the nice thing about the scope. You can get this. You can get you a quick detach, dovetail, or a Picatinny, depending on what you're using, and you can put this thing on several guns. And that's going to tell you your windage and all of that for shots. And again, this is everything that's inside the gun. So that's basically what she does. Everything can be controlled from the phone. It's really easy to do. And let's go back and talk a little bit more about this scope. Okay, as you can see, the Wi-Fi hookup on this thing is really, really good. Now I will say this, I did have a little trouble getting that Wi-Fi to work. Matter of fact, I found it worked much better with my Apple phone than it did with my Android phone. I don't know what that is. I have a call into the company and hopefully I'm going to get some information back from the support area on that. So now you see why, hopefully, I was able to demonstrate to you why I think this is the best scope in the world in terms of all of the features that it brings to you in this little small package. $500 is nothing. I've seen people pay that much for a sidewinder. What is it? Hawk sidewinder? $500. Another scope, $500. And all you're gonna do is get mil dots and have to figure out mil dots. And is this a 2.5 mil dot, or 1.5 mil dot, or a third of a mil dot? Here you just tell it it's 50 yards and pull the trigger. And if it happens not to be clear enough in the sight, zoom it in to 14 in this case, or 20 if you have the other scope, and pull the trigger. If the wind is blowing out of the soft wave at 5 miles an hour, input the data and pull the trigger. This gun's amazing. Now I'm not saying it's doing all these things perfectly. I don't know that yet. I haven't had a chance to push it past that 60-yard shot you saw me take. But this summer I hope to be pushing this thing out to 150 yards with the 25 caliber. I would never try to push a full 177 out that far. It's going to slow down and destabilize, I think. So that is why I say that this is the best scope in the world for the money. There may be other scopes out there better than it, but my God, this thing here does all the thinking for you. So, but I will say this. There's another scope, and let me get it for you. So I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, I'm back. I did want to throw this in, okay? This scope here, I think I paid between $119 and $129 for it. This is a night vision setup. And the thing that I've been trying to do, and you've probably seen other videos where I've talked about this, you can have night vision with recording for right around between $100 to $125. That's what I'm going to be working on in the future. So even though I'm saying this is highly something up there that's up there for some people, $500 is going to be too much money. I understand that. So we're going to try to bring to you a video recorder that works perfectly well for between $100 and $129. If this works, we're going to post it and exactly how to do it step by step for you guys that are out there. Because, you know, I always say, if you can save money, let's save it. If you don't need all this on here and you just want to record some night vision, or if you just want a night vision setup, this thing here is perfect. We just can't record with it, so we've been really frustrated. Hopefully we're going to get that done for you. I'm going to add some bonus. This is a long video. I know you guys are going to be complaining. It is. This is a long video, but I want to just really cover this well for you. I'm going to throw up just some video now of night vision and day vision on some of the animals around here. Just for you to see how this thing looks. Okay? So we'll close out with that. And I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. I know you guys, a lot of you guys said, Aaron, when are you going to do the review on this? This is the review. I rushed it a little bit because I really want to wait till spring, push this thing out to some distance, but that'll be a second follow-up for us in the future. So enjoy the bonus video of this thing in action. And I'm just saying that no animals were hurt in the filming of this video you're about to see. Have a good one, and thanks all.
First book. Let's see. Amazing. Amazing.